So for the 4 or 5 people in the world who actually don't know who you are, give everybody a little bit of idea of who you are and what you've done.
Well, it was funny. I was just in Beverly Hills with Josh Altman and Matt Altman, the Altman brothers real estate. They have a $1.5 billion real estate empire. They're featured on $1 million listings. And they were talking to me and they said, Kevin, everybody we talk to knows who you are. They bought your Mega Memory course back in the day, and they knew you were the infomercial king. They know you did $25 billion in business over the years, starting from zero. I mean, who doesn't know? And I said, well, I think anybody who's 30 years old or maybe even 40 years old and under probably doesn't know, because during my heyday in TV infomercial and marketing back in the 80s and 90s, since then, people just don't know. So the bottom line is, I've authored a lot of books, but I only authored the books after I generated, I think, about 18 billion. So I didn't make a speech on how to become successful or become a success coach or anything like that. That's not my business. Tony Robbins, excellent. His business is personal development. Bob Proctor was personal development. Joe Vitale, personal development. And they made all their money selling stuff on personal development. Brian Tracy, great guy, good friend of mine. He sold courses on how to be in business. A lot of the #1 New York Times bestselling authors really never built any business careers. They just made their money selling books, teaching you how to build a business career. And I always said, if you guys know so much, how come you don't just build one and make $1 billion first?
Right.
And so that's what I did. I wasn't in that business. So I built a big empire globally, 3 TV networks in Europe, mining operations in Australia, marketing. Most people know me for the marketing here in the United States, called the master of modern day marketing by the Wall Street Journal and all these stuff. But it was only afterwards that people started hammering me and saying, Kevin, how do you start a business from zero, raise no money, starting it from scratch, don't put up any money, start it with a couple $1,000, and a year later do 150 million in sales, dropping 30 or 40% to the bottom line? How is that possible with 5 employees? How do you do that?
Right.
And that's why I started helping other friends of mine and saying, look, you guys are doing it all wrong. And I would really get these paradigm shifts upside down and saying, you're doing it ass backwards, really. Do it this way. And I would show them. And one guy built a $300 million company. Another guy built a $150 million company in 18 months. Another guy did 80 million in sales. Another guy went from $1 million a year to $1 million a month in sales in 90 days. And they were like, you need to teach this, marketing, business, attitude, manifesting, I guess, if you want to call it whatever. And I said, that's just not my business. And well, it became now kind of a love, but I gave all the royalties away on all my books. I didn't even take any royalties. I had 50 million copies sold of the Natural Cures book, and I gave away all the royalties. It's right in the front of the book. I give away all the royalties to charity.
Right.
I didn't know it was going to sell 50 million copies. Maybe if I knew that, I would have changed my mind.
Maybe like half of the royalties. Keep a little bit in.
Paul Newman told me that when he had, the Newman's Own salad dressing. His daughter wanted to start that company, and he said, I'll tell you what, this isn't going to go anywhere. I'll give all my royalties to charity. And it became a $1 billion business. And he said, if I knew it was going to be this big, I wouldn't
have given all that away. Absolutely.
I would have maybe adjusted the percentages a little.
Just a little bit. So now a lot of this stuff hasn't been, you've had some hurdles. You've run into some bumps. Can we talk a little bit about those?
Oh, yeah. The biggest hurdle was I made a decision to expose the Food and Drug Administration for working with the drug companies to hide non-drug and non-surgical ways to cure and prevent disease so that those companies, the drug companies, could increase profits. I exposed the Department of Education for taking phonics out of the school system, putting fluoride in the water to dumb kids down and getting all the kids on Ritalin. Back then, that was heresy. Now, they just dismantled the Department of Education, and they said, McMahon said, for those 3 reasons. So what I said years ago that got me crucified by the government and attacked and sued and ultimately held in contempt of court and sent to prison for 10 years without being charged with a crime. Now, the Make America Healthy Again movement, everything that I said in my book 25 years ago and on my radio show back then, that I was crucified for and persecuted and prosecuted for, is now mainstream. I said talcum powder was poisonous, and I got sued and hammered. And of course, now we know it's poisonous, and
100% poisonous.
Johnson baby
Right.
power is off the market. FDA is taking it out of the food. I said it 25 years ago, and I was crucified. I said fluoride in the water makes you can potentially lower your thyroid production. Now it's proven to be true. It's illegal all over the world to put fluoride in drinking water. Red dye number 3 has been taken out of food now. I talked about all of the dough conditioners. Everything that I said back then and was told I was a heretic or a maniac or a liar or a scam artist, and all these things are now proven to be true. I have a big file. It's called the Kevin Was Right file, and it keeps growing by the minute. It's kind of fun.
So what else is in the Kevin Was Right file? Like what have we not come across from? Like what else have you said, hey, this is also true that most people don't know about?
Well, one of the things I said was, how is it possible that a congressman can have a net worth of $100,000, 2 years later come out and have a net worth of $3 million?
Right.
And how is it possible that a senator can go into the Senate with maybe a net worth of $1 million and come out 6 years later with a net worth of $50 million? $100 million? I said they're allowed to trade on insider information. They pass laws. I think it's like 80% of all the laws that are passed in Congress, the lawmakers make themselves exempt. And I was crucified for that. I mean, crucified on CNN, on ABC and NBC. And now it's the talk of the town. Nancy Pelosi, is the greatest stock trader in the history of mankind, never misses a stock trade. And she went from 0 net worth to 450 million net worth since her time in the Senate or Congress. So I expose things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because she's not even the best one there. There are actually other people who are doing significantly. She just happens to be the most famous.
She's the most
but there's
famous,
people on both sides of the aisles that are just crushing it. And if you look at, who's the all-star, she's like number 4. There's other people who are crushing it.
Even better. They're amazing. They must have psychic ability.
It's amazing. I wish I had the same psychic abilities.
Yeah.
So one of the things you said, I pick on people all the time. They read books by millionaires hoping to become billionaires, or they want to become a millionaire and they're reading the book by the guy who's never done it. I'm like, what are you doing? If you want to become a billionaire, read books by billionaires. You've done a lot and you've been really successful. If you sat down and you said, hey, this is the most proven tactics, like this is what you need to do, especially with things are going, because we've got AI now and AI is changing everything. We've got new laws. We've got debts that we've never seen before. What are the things where you sit down, having done this and been crucified, and then having to fight your way back and earn that trust back? How do you earn that trust, and what do you teach people going forward?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's not about me needing to have trust with a person that I'm doing business with, or trust with a customer who wants to buy a product from me. When I market a product, which I've been very successful, I mentioned I've done billions of dollars in sales just in the U.S., never mind Europe and around the world. But one of the things that made me very unique was I actually would use the product first and get completely psyched and sold on it. And then when I talk to you about it, when I say you on TV or in an ad, the authenticity and genuineness of what I was saying was apparent. I wasn't reading a teleprompter, and I wasn't reading the script that was written by someone else and said, hey, read this. I remember I was in Canada one time, and this guy was selling a product, and he was doing very well. And I looked at the product. He didn't say much about it. He said, "This is what I'm selling," and I said, "How do you like it, and how does your family like it?" "Oh, we don't take that." He goes, "Kevin, that product's not for taking. That product is for selling."
Wow.
And that's unfortunately the majority of people out there. I'm launching a nutritional business called World's Best Nutritionals and Organics. And when you talk to all the people in the nutritional industry, with rare exception, and there are exceptions, there are a couple of people that are very passionate about the product, but most of them never even visit the manufacturing plant. They have no idea where the ingredients come from. They don't care. All they care about is how much it costs, what's their margin, what's their label look like, are they legal, and can they make a lot of profit? What's in the product is irrelevant. Organic salad dressing, same thing. Organic protein powders or whatever. When you talk to all these companies that I'm manufacturing, they're saying you're the only person that's actually come to the plant and wants to inspect the equipment and is fanatical, and you want to know the entire chain of custody of. I want to know the farm where the alfalfa is grown, and I want to know about the seed. Where is the seed coming from? And I want to make sure that the people doing the work aren't some slave labor that you're not paying anything to because you're in a foreign country. I want to investigate the soil. I want to know what the nutrients are in the soil. I'm putting this in my body. And they're like going, you're insane. Do you know how much this is going to cost? And I go, I want the best. And so when I then talk about that, there's a genuine, authentic presentation. And people can energetically feel that. And they go, look, I can trust this guy. I don't trust what the government says. And I can trust Kevin. And the fact that when they buy products, they tell their friends about it. And when I'm doing with a business deal, at the end of the day, you know more than anything, when you sit with somebody, shake their hand, and start talking to them, you have a sense of this guy's authentic. Okay, you can look at track record. Here's 100 people that you can call that I've dealt business with for 35 years. I always pay on time, ahead of schedule. I always deliver what I promise. As a matter of fact, I deliver more than I promise. Every person I've done business with has a good relationship and continues to do business with me for 30 years, regardless of what the government says or what the media says. And that, at the end of the day, tells the tale.
It's funny because you were talking about organic versus non-organic. I spent 8 years in a hospice watching people die, and they're like, God, organic's so expensive. I'm like, it's cheaper than chemo. And it's always been the narrative that I've had with people. For people who are starting out, now that we have all these changes in business, how do you advise people now differently than you did maybe 20, 30 years ago?
Not really. All I can do is tell people that it's easier to make money today than ever before in history. And so anybody who can't make money today is either a fool or an expert at making excuses. Mm-hmm. You know, a failure is always good at one thing, making excuses. Mm-hmm. But today there are more opportunities because of the internet than ever before to make money without any money. You don't need money to make money today. Back in the old days, I mean, you had to buy inventory, you had to get a brick and mortar store. There was a lot of work to do. That's why multi-level marketing companies like Amway or Mary Kay Cosmetics or Herbalife became popular, because that was the only other option that an average person could do to get into a business of their own without knowing a lot and without having a lot of money. But today, yeah, you can still do that. But today, there are so many other things a person can do without having a lot of specialized knowledge and without having a lot of money, and they can make fortunes. Look, we have something called, what is it called? Oh yeah, YouTube. And YouTube can give you information on anything. If you want to know anything, now it may not be the best information, it may, but it's information that can at least get you started. There's no excuse at all that somebody says, well, I don't know how to write, I don't know how to do that, I don't know how to do that. Okay, well, spend 5 minutes, Mr. Lazy, and sit in front of YouTube and punch in a couple buttons, searches, and there it is. Oh, well, that's going to take 3 hours. Again, an expert at excuses.
Right.
Right?
So if you're running into this and you're going to start a new business now, and I agree with you 100%, the 3 lies we're told is the lie of what, the lie of how, and the lie of why. Those 3 lies are just complete crap. It always comes down to who. If you're restarting the business, what is the specific knowledge? Because there's so much. We're overwhelmed with knowledge. We're overwhelmed with marketing. We're overwhelmed with these fake influencers that we talked about before, the people who've never made it. Teaching, how do you weed through that? And what are the things that you like to talk about?
Well, interestingly enough, I think the first thing that people have to do, which they don't do, and it's not taught in any books, is find out and establish what in your life is something that you are not willing to accept anymore. Mm-hmm. What in your life are you not willing to accept anymore, that you hate, that gives you pain? I'm tired of this. I am not going to put up with it anymore. I'm not going to stand for it anymore. And you have to get some pain. This is the why behind the why. When you talk to a superstar in sports, whether it's Tiger Woods or whether it's a professional football player or Roger Federer, who I talk to, they always say the same thing. I love winning. As a matter of fact, I crave winning. I have passion for winning. I have a strong, obsessive desire to win, but I hate losing more.
100%.
And so we're driven from pain and pleasure. You have pain and pleasure. You want to avoid pain and you want to gain pleasure. You will do more to avoid pain.
Yes.
Than to gain pleasure. So you have to know what is it you won't tolerate. And you can play this game. I was with a guy who was worth a couple $1 billion. And I said, how do you keep motivated? He says, real simple. I stay mentally broke. I go, what does that mean, mentally broke? He goes, because I make believe I'm broke. And that gives me pain. And I have to generate that even though it's a game. So I have to generate it. You can do it in a million different ways. You're making tons of money, right? You get your Rolls Royce, you get your Bentley, you get your fancy mansions, you get your condos in the cities, you got all this stuff, but you don't have a private plane yet. So when you get on first class, what do? How can I live? I mean, it's just like, this is ridiculous. I'm in line. I have to wait an hour. I have to wait for my luggage. I have to eat this crappy food. You have to start creating, instead of going, wow, isn't it great? I'm in first class. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Instead of doing that, for a moment, you don't live there, but for a moment, you have to start contracting energy and then say, isn't it going to be great if we had our own plane? And then you think about that and you dream that. And then you release attachment to the outcome. If it never happens, it's okay. Let's enjoy what we got. So you're living in this space of gratitude and appreciation, but you go through that little cycle for a minute or two. And that's how you throw these rockets of desire into the universe that will create and manifest the increased income so you can afford the plane if at that point you choose to do it.
There's lots of these little ideas that you want to manifest through it, and you have these little strategies and proven ways to do it. And you've done this for a long time. What are some of the proven habits that you walk through every life? Because a lot of people don't get to your level, especially with the trials and tribulations you've gone through. Some people, again, we've talked about the lazy people, and I can't help you. I'm sorry. Those people I can't help. I got nothing for you. But the people who are successful, who are struggling, who have done it through brute force, who've gotten to the first 7-figure mark with their strategies, who understand that they can't get to the next level. What are some of the proven things that you do every single day? They're like, okay, this is something that changed my life. These are the things, these are the tactics in my business and personal.
Well, it's interesting because I deal with a lot of people who hit that ceiling. You know, there's one guy I know, he's got a company that last 2 years did 150 million in sales, and he can't break through the ceiling. And so let me hire more people. And I goes, wait a minute, your sales are the same, but your profits keep going down because you keep increasing your overheads. I go, you're doing it all wrong. You're trying to push a rope. I go, you have to completely flip that up on its head and say, you know something? I'm cutting everything. I had a friend of mine named Al Dunlap. Chainsaw Al was his name. He'd come in, he was a turnaround expert, and I spoke with him with Kerry Packer, was the richest guy in Australia. We did a program down in Australia called the World Masters of Business. But Al was brilliant. He goes, everyone keeps trying to push this rope instead of going, you know something, we have to change the energy. Let's just cut expenses everywhere. And even if sales go down 10%, our profits are going to go up dramatically. And we spend profits. That's the money in our pocket, especially as a business owner, not even a publicly traded company. But if it is publicly traded, when profits go up, your earnings per share go up, and therefore your stock price goes up anyway. So everyone tries to keep throwing money. It's like the government. Just throw money at it. No, do the exact opposite. So that's number one. Number two, people set their targets wrong. You have to set your goals and targets so that you always hit them ahead of schedule. You have to set yourself up to win. In football, when the team did bad, when they get back on the field, he throws a 2-yard pass and then another 2-yard pass. And the announcer says, he's just trying to get some momentum. Momentum comes from a couple wins. So when you're setting your targets, we're going to hit 100,000 this month or 200,000 this month. No, say, you know something? Let's shoot for 80,000 this month. And then you hit it in the first week. Well, now you get a victory. Wow, we're ahead of schedule. And start recalculating. And that's a thing that I sit down with business owners and I give them their 12-month cash projections. And I says, what are you projecting for cash coming in? And here they go, do you ever hit those? No, but we set our targets high. You know, shoot for the moon. And even if you miss, you'll still wind up amongst the stars. I go, no, you're losing. You're not winning. I go, and how can you manage your cash flow? Here are your expenses. Do you ever hit those? Well, sometimes we're a little higher than that. I go, no, it's a game. You set your income projection and your expenses. And every month, you better beat that income projection and your expenses better be lower than you projected. But you run your business with your projected middle number, the projected net to the bottom line. That's how you make your business decisions. And when you do this, start getting this winning momentum. And this momentum is energy. It creates confidence. It creates enthusiasm and motivation. And then you start producing more and more results. So it's really important to get that momentum in business.
Gotcha. And what about your personal life? What are the things that most people don't have access to that you do? I mean, like, you've done a lot of research and talk about the company that you're doing with organics and food with that. That's a different level of knowledge that you were 25 years ahead of the curve with just red dial on its own. What are some of the things that you have that you're running ahead of the curve on right now? What are the proven things that you do every day?
Well, science is not better than nature. And right now we have this trend toward this science, this science, this science. People say follow the science. Well, if you look at something like fluoride in the water, and you look at the fact that science has proven in every country in the world except New Zealand and America that putting fluoride in drinking water is detrimental to your health. That's what the science has proved. That's why the governments have outlawed it, and that's why courts have held it, because the science has proved that. But the science in America says the exact opposite. No, drinking fluoride in water is good for you. So you have two completely opposite sciences. So what science do you even follow? So one of the trends that I do is I believe that science is not better than nature. And when it comes to food, for example, whole food, real food, as nature intended it, is always better than something isolated or manufactured by man. People say, well, yeah, I drink juice. Okay, fine. A gorilla doesn't have a juice machine, and they live longer than you. So why is that better than what nature intended? Nature intended you to eat the orange, to eat the apple, not juice it. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why. And maybe, in moderation, it's probably not terrible. But the point is, trending toward this scientific breakthrough is wrong, because science is not that smart. You change one thing and it has a ripple effect everywhere. Scientists in Australia said, we have the solution to this. There was some big bug problem. We have the solution. We're going to import these toads from Africa that will eat the bugs.
Right.
And that was their solution. And they researched it. These are PhDs, man, the smartest people in the planet. They went to the best colleges, they got all the PhDs, and they said, this is the solution. We're scientists. We know better. So they brought in these frogs, and it worked. They got rid of all the bugs. The problem was all the alligators started dying, because the frogs were poisonous to the alligators, and the alligators were eating the frogs, and they were dying by millions. It was like out of control. The crocodiles. And they go, oh no. And now, because there was no alligators, all the rodents took over. And so you have this cycle that just spins out of control because one idiot scientist said, oh, this is going to solve your problem. It's like the people say, well, let's take testosterone and let's take thyroid medication. Oh, it's good. Science is good. Okay, really? You don't think that that's going to cause some whacked out thing 5-10 years down the road when you create this unnatural scenario in the body and maybe get some short-term benefits? So I don't trend toward or follow the trends, I should say, that are scientifically based. I really lean toward, when it comes to health and nutrition, and look, I'm old, but I don't have any health problems. I just did this toxic test. I just got the results this morning, and the doctor goes, I've been doing this for 25 years. I go, I've never seen anything like this before. It's like you're in the green in almost everything. And
so I'm going to interrupt there. What are you doing to be in that green? Because again, you've got access to knowledge and insights that most people don't. And a lot of people are doing stem cells or peptides or testosterone. Please don't do testosterone. Those type of things. What are the things that you're doing to be in the green?
Yeah, eating here's what I did. First off, I went around the world when I wrote the book Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About, which was the best-selling natural health book of all time. It was number 1 on the New York Times list. Best-selling list for 26 weeks in a row, sold 50 million copies. When I wrote that book, I went around the world and interviewed over 100 people that were in their late 90s who were super healthy, no drugs, no surgery, and no health problems. And I said, okay, what do you do? There must be some common denominator. Well, there wasn't. One person's drinking a gallon of milk a day. Another person's drinking vodka and smoking non-filter Camel cigarettes. Swear to God. She's carrying potatoes. She had no teeth, but otherwise than that, her health was pretty good.
Other than that, other than that.
But she could carry a sack of potatoes for 2 miles. And I'm like going, this woman's 90 what? And she's doing what? I was in the Amazon. This guy was climbing a tree to kill a monkey that he shot with a blowgun. With a, he had the lung capacity of like a bazooka to kill this monkey. And then he has to climb the tree to get the monkey out. And he's early 90s, and he's climbing a tree carrying an 80-pound monkey on his back to the farm, to the village, and then chopping it up, and we're eating raw monkey meat infused with poison dart. And I'm thinking, this must be the elixir for longevity, raw monkey meat infused with poison dart. So the point was, there was no real common denominators except that everybody ate what was locally grown when it was in season. They always ate fermented food when things weren't in season because they fermented stuff that gives you the probiotics. And they took life very lightly. Nobody was doing yoga. Nobody was doing breathing exercises. Nobody was sleeping in a hyperbaric oxygen tent. Nobody was taking peptides or bioidentical hormones. Nobody was taking food supplements. None of them were taking food supplements. There were no vegetarians, by the way, and no vegans. Although some ate less meat than others, but some of them ate nothing but meat, like raw monkey meat. I mean,
with poison.
So it was bizarre. So the point was, when I did this research, I said, okay, all the theories, which are theories based on no facts, just theories, all the theories don't make any sense when you look at what's in real life. So I decided, this is back in the 80s, that I was going to basically just eat food. And I was going to supplement my food, since you can't eat perfect in America particularly, with whole food supplements. And I took some capsules with basically dehydrated food. And we see that today. There's a few companies out there that sell that, whether it's dehydrated vegetables, dehydrated fruits, but in the natural state, not extracts, because that's just not a natural state. And so I thought, I'll do that, and then I'll do cleanses like fasting and colonics to clean out the toxins, because I'm putting toxins in. I take my car in and get the oil and filter change, and I take a shower every day to clean the outside of my body. I must clean the inside. So I do some cleanses, and there's different ways to cleanse some of the toxins out. And those are really the two major things. And the most important was, I took life very lightly. I laughed a lot. Laughing is really the best medicine. Laughing, I moved my body as nature intended. Although from time to time I did do some really insane workout protocols just for fun and just see how I could, challenge my physicality, and hiked, 20 miles and did all these crazy things just to see how I could push my body, but not on a regular. I'm not a bodybuilder, and I'm not taking supplements. I don't take protein shakes, which, these are not good for longevity. I mean, anybody you see who's taken that back in the 60s and 70s, and even, okay, if you look at the guy who lived the longest from the health, real fitness craze, Jack LaLanne, who was a friend of mine. But Jack LaLanne ate food, and the supplements he took were food. People don't know that the number one supplement Jack LaLanne took almost every week, almost every day, was decalcified beef liver. He was not a vegan. He used to just take beef liver. He goes, yeah, it's got all the nutrients in it and B vitamins. So he goes, I don't like the taste of eating liver, so I just get a powder and I just throw it in some water and kind of hold my nose and drink it down so I could get all this beef liver in it, and organ meats. Who eats organ meats anymore? Beef heart, chicken hearts. Nobody does that. The thymus, right? The sweet glands. So the bottom line is, one of the things that I do, which you can call it a biohack, is to eat real food, whole food, as close to as nature intended, in season, and when it's not in season, fermented.
Gotcha. And are there other things that you do love? Like, and you talk about how our chambers, that you don't sleep in one of those. There's different ways to clean our water system. There's osmosis. There's different tools. Are there any tools that you found across your journey? You're like, okay, go do this pillow, or something of that nature.
Yeah, I'll tell you one specifically is water. Look, you have to drink whatever you put into your body. So if you're trying to clean toxins out, then it makes sense to try to reduce or minimize the amount of toxins you put in your body.
Right.
We put toxins in our body through our skin.
Mhm.
as well as what we eat and drink.
Right.
People don't think about the skin. So guys use a hair product. I mean, almost every guy, I go to get my hair cut, they go, you want a product in your hair? No. You don't? No. Why? Well, number one, I'm not a fan of what it looks like, but that's just personal preference. But number one, eat some and tell me how you feel. Oh, you're not supposed to eat it. I go, yeah, but you are. Because when you're putting it on your skin, it's being absorbed into the body. So anything that goes on your skin is being absorbed into the body. So women put on cosmetics, makeup. Guys put on lotions and creams. And a lot of my African-American friends, their skin gets a lot of ashy and dry. And they were coming up to me and say, hey, KT, look, my skin gets ashy and dry. It looks terrible. I got to put lotion on. And I says, well, no, you don't. That lotion you're putting on, if you ate it, it says, if ingested, call Poison Control Center immediately if consumed. Well, how can they allow it to be put on your body? These are hormone disruptors. They're messing up the hormone receptors of the cell. And the hormones that are in your body, even guys who take testosterone and thyroid and DHEA, they take it, their blood levels go up. But then they go back to the doctor and he goes, you must be feeling great. Your blood levels are really high. Your testosterone is now 1,200. And the guy goes, I feel exactly the same. Well, no, that's impossible. So you're really doing well. Well, the problem is he is feeling exactly the same because it doesn't matter how much testosterone is in the blood if it's not getting assimilated into the cell. And it's not getting assimilated into the cell because the cell receptors are all clogged from the toxins. So unless you clear the toxins out. So clearing toxins is good. Water filtration. This was a long story to get back to water filtration. One of the key elements I have experienced firsthand is drinking water. So in my house, I have a whole house filtration unit. Fred Van Loo is he's the water guy. I've known him since 1979. He's the most fanatical, insane person you'll meet when it comes to water, which is good. He's obsessed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
obsessed. Well, what tools is he using? Like I have a zero water filter that I use because I want to do something.
You got to do something. Something is better than nothing. So Fred 100%. Van Loo is eWater, my friend, eWater.com. That's his site, and I use his stuff. So I have the water that comes into the house filtered, and then in the sink I have a reverse osmosis unit. And the key is changing the filters regularly because they do get clogged. And then when I take a shower, I have a shower filter.
Yep.
So it goes through. So you don't really need. It's overkill because the whole house is filtered. But that's what I do.
Gotcha. And then as far as removing toxins, because this is a big one for me, and most people don't talk about this because everyone comes on like, oh, I want to make more money, make more money. I'm like, great, you're going to spend your money to try and get your health back, you idiots. So when you're removing toxins, what are the things that you've done that have proven that, like, hey, this really, I know we're going to talk about business, but I'm excited about this. I'm in the middle of a water fast right now as we're recording this.
Yeah.
I do them once a month, no matter what. I do a 48-hour water, a 72-hour water fast, no matter what. It's just a non-negotiable, makes me real simple. How do you remove the toxins from your system? What are the proven ways that you found to do it?
Well, interesting. I know we sidetracked because this is about business, but this is about business. And you know why? I just did a one-on-one yesterday on a Zoom call with a fellow. And he said, look, my drive and motivation is low. So I want to make more money. I'm on the call so you can help me make more money. And I just have a hard time starting a project. And when I start one, I have a hard time finishing it. So I need you to get my mindset for my motivation. And I'm looking in his field because I can see energy and I can see the body. And I said, have you had a hormone test done? And he looked and he goes, yes. Why? I can see that. And I said, your testosterone numbers are around 250 or 300, right? He goes, they were 285. I go, yeah, they're pretty low. I says, your thyroid was also low. And he looked at me like, yes. And I said, your DHEA levels were low too. And he said, did you talk to my doctor? I go, no, I can see the energy. I go, you want me to get your mindset fixed so you can make more money. And I'm going to tell you that that's secondary. Unless you get your body fixed, your hormone production fixed, your motivation and drive is going to be low. Steve Jobs, when they asked him multiple times, what's one thing you would tell any young entrepreneur or anybody in business, if they want to make more money, what should they do? You know what his answer was? Exercise. This is Steve Jobs. He goes, that's the one word. He goes, and the bottom line is you have to get your body feeling better, full of physical energy, because that is critical to help you make money. You got to have this drive, and you can't be hindered by a physical body that is dragging coming out of bed or getting tired at 9 o'clock at night. I have friends of mine who get tired and they go, I want to go to bed at 8:30. I go, 8:30? Baby, I'm just kicking into another gear, baby. I'm building a business. Sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead. And then, how do you have so much energy? I go, because I got a dream that's big, number one, and my physical body feels really good. And I use something to keep it going, and it's called fuel, which is food. It isn't caffeine, although I do drink a little coffee. It isn't, some other type of stimulant like a Monster Energy drink or something, which I don't think that's nutty. I use the natural fuel that the body requires that stimulates energy, which is food. And if you eat food and get tired, that means you have a histamine problem, and that's got to be addressed. So the point is, physical health and physical energy is critical to making money because it keeps your mind sharp, your ability to focus, you don't get brain fog. If you have all these symptoms, it's just going to be more difficult to make money.
Right. So how do you detox from it? Like all of us are surrounded by these poisons 24 hours a day. So especially in the United States, our food is just unbelievably toxic. How do you detox from that?
I'll give people 4 simple methods to detox, and I've done them all. Number 1 is an infrared sauna. So, okay, I can't buy an infrared sauna. I have one. So you can sit in an infrared sauna, and that's going to actually pull toxins out of the fat. And you can do it better by taking some niacin, real niacin, not niacinamide, the real niacin that gives you a niacin flush and itchy skin, and you feel like there's something wrong and you may even die from a heart attack, so you have to take it in small amounts. But it's niacin that opens up the capillary, so it'll open up the cells so toxins get out. And we know it gets out toxins because I've had people come into the sauna and I'll test their perspiration. And now we test it. And I go, all right, let me tell you your drug history. The guy's like, what? I go, you took LSD. He's like, yeah. You took ayahuasca. Magic mushrooms. Yeah. Marijuana. Yeah. Cocaine. Yeah. He goes, but not very much. I only took a little bit, honest to honest. And I go, listen, I'm not denying that you only took a little bit, but what I'm suggesting is those toxins are in your fatty tissue. Your brain is 80% fat. That means your ability to concentrate and put out a beam of energy to manifest your desires is weakened. You said you want to make money, clear it out. And so we know that that's a good way to detox. Number 2, colonics. There are 2 types of colonics, or colon therapy. Colon irrigation therapy is what it's called, or high enema is what we used to call it back in the day. One is called a closed system, which is kind of a high pressure thing. It's about 35 to 45 minutes. Next is an open system, an hour to an hour and a half. I prefer the open system. I've done both. You can go to a cleansing spa. You can once a week, once every day for a week just to get the thing going, once a week, once a month, twice a month. It's a really good way to clean the colon. There are places like Angel Farms. Cindy is the owner there, and it's one of the world premier places to go. It's in Hawaii, where you can go for 10 days and do a whole cleanse there. And my friend Susanna, who's in her 90s, and she's like, kicking like crazy. And she has, in Desert Hot Springs, California, We Care Spa. And I was just in Beverly Hills. The guy, I was in his home. It's a $35 million house. And he says, I'm in Angel Farms. I'm at, with your friend Susanna, doing a water fast. And here's a guy who's in his, 70s maybe. And he's concerned about his health and keeping, because it goes, Kevin, I need energy to make money. I need to have physical energy to make money. And he makes a lot. So, okay, number 2 is colonics. Number 3 is the Dr. Pompa program, Pompa. Dr. Pompa I've had on my radio show and my podcast, and he's spectacular. It pulls out the heavy metals and toxins. It's a supplement program. Very simple, a little expensive, but very effective. And then the third one is a product which is a lot less expensive than Pompa, called Masterpiece. P-E-A-C-E, Masterpiece. I think it's masterpiece dot something. But it comes from seawater and zeolite. And that's a simple couple drops, drink it, a little powder with some bentonite clay, pulls the toxins out. And people just feel dramatically different because when the toxins are out, the hormones balance because the hormone receptors are now open, and whatever hormones you have in the blood are absorbed, and any nutrients you take are absorbed. So if you take even a nutritional supplement or just eat a little food, all of a sudden you go, whoa, why do I have so much energy? Where before, when I ate something, I got tired.
Right.
So those are really good things that I have used.
So with the red light therapy, how frequently do you do the red light therapy?
Okay, so red light therapy is something different.
Or ultra, what you said, red light therapy or ultraviolet? Or
No,
which
I
one?
said in the sauna, infrared sauna.
Infrared. How frequently are you doing the infrared?
Yeah, you can do an infrared sauna once a day, easily
How long?
for 20
10,
minutes.
15 minutes?
For
20
20 minutes.
Okay.
You can go there for an hour if you like.
Gotcha.
I'm not a big fan of just sitting in a sauna for a while, so I do it from time to time. But in order to clean it out, the first time I did it 45 days in a row for 2 to 3 hours. Now, not at one clip. I go in for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, come out for 5 minutes, cool off, go back. But I was in there for sometimes 4 or 5 hours a day for virtually 45 days in a row,
Just to
taking
detox
some
out.
taking some niacin, taking some calcium, magnesium to balance out my nerves, to pull all the toxins out. And I would test my perspiration until it was clear. And when it was clear, my head was super clear. It was like colors got bright, and my ability to focus and your optimism, enthusiasm, happiness quotient all goes up, because the toxins, which are all, you have no idea how much they're crushing you and pulling you down.
Absolutely. I just experienced a little bit of exposure to black mold. As soon as I got out of that environment, I'm not playing this game anymore. Energy went up, started sleeping better, brain fog went away. But I still know I'm just loaded with that. So that's why I'm asking. It's like, how do we detox out of that? And everyone said the same thing.
And it's really important.
Get it.
It's funny because I told you I was just in Beverly Hills with Josh and Matt Altman, and here are two guys. They're in pretty good shape. Josh is is an athlete, and he goes to the gym. And we talked about keeping the physical body healthy. Okay, but I asked him. I said, what is one thing when you were first starting off, and the people that you hung around with when you were first starting off, what is a critical key to success? And he said the same thing, which is on our top of the list too. You have to dream big. Mm-hmm. You have to have a big dream. You have to have a dream so big that you almost think it's impossible. I'm just dreaming. But that expands what's possible. I was with a friend of mine 25 years ago. We were in the boat show, or the yacht show, but I think they call it the boat show in Miami. Yeah. And we were walking around. He invited me down. So I went down to see him, and he said, I have an appointment to see a couple yachts. So the first one was a Larson yacht. I think it was 180 feet or something. And back then it was like $25 million. Maybe it's $100 million today. And we looked at this one and that one and this one. And he's really taking time asking all these questions about the wood. And I'm like, this son of a gun is buying a yacht. So afterwards, I said, Jason, I knew you were doing really well. I didn't know you were doing this well. He goes, oh, I can't afford this. I don't have the money. And I said, well, what are we here for? He goes, I'm dreaming. I'm thinking about my future. If I don't dream about this, I'll never make the money. Because people do it backwards. They say, don't talk about that now. We don't have the money. When we have the money, then we'll talk about the yacht. Guess what? They'll never have the money.
Correct.
You got to be talking about what you want when you can't afford it.
Right.
You got to get your dream bigger, and then the money will get bigger to manifest the dream.
So you've seen a lot over the last 25, 30 years. And there's a lot of people talking about how, insofar as the government's concerned, our debt's skyrocketing. We've got ourselves in this problem. Again, I'm not being political here. I'm not blaming one administration versus another administration. I just don't care. We've gotten ourselves collectively into this situation where people are in trouble. We've got AI rolling out. We've got a lot of things that are converging that have destroyed other empires, as far as based on time or based on GDP expenditures or based on how much we have spread ourselves with military terms. Where do you see the future going based on AI and where we are as the United States as a culture?
Well, it's just two elements here. One is, how does it affect me?
Right.
And the other one is, where I see all this going.
Right.
Yeah, the answer is doesn't really. I don't really care where it's going. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the United States empire is over, and America's standard of living and quality of life will never get back to what it was at its peak in the 50s, early 60s. Those days are over. You drive around America today on a road, People don't realize it's like driving on the surface of the moon. I mean, there's craters everywhere and things. We used to have the best infrastructure, the best roads, the best everything. You go to a park today, it is a disaster. It's disgusting. You go into a public restroom, it's disgusting. We live in a country where the standard of living and quality of life has been declining and is going to continue to decline. It's over. People don't realize how nice countries can be in cities. I lived in Zurich, Switzerland. You can eat off the street. There's not one homeless person in the country of Switzerland. There's virtually no crime. I mean, I'm talking virtually no crime. Like
It's
today,
my favorite country in the world.
in the country of Switzerland today, was there a reported like robbery? No, not today. I mean, imagine in a day that there's nothing in the whole country, not one reported robbery or theft, no shoplifting, no mugging, no jacking, no murder. I mean, in a year, there's like one murder, I think, last year, or 2 murders or something crazy. And they were not even Swiss killing Swiss. It was somebody who was in the country and he killed somebody. So there are countries out there, Singapore, Dubai, that you can eat off the streets. The infrastructure is spectacular. So look, at the end of the day, everything has always changed. You know, once upon a time, we used to use kerosene we used to use whale oil to light our homes. Then it went to kerosene, and then it went to electricity. You know, buggy whip manufacturers would get together and go, we make buggy whips. What's going to happen with this new horseless carriage? They're calling it an automobile. Do you think that's going to affect us? And some of the people said no, and they went bankrupt. And others said, I don't know, but I'm going to start manufacturing stuff for that because I think that's the future. So you don't lose your ability to create, regardless of what the situation is. You know, Walt Disney created a cartoon character. He had 4 business partners, and his dream was to create a cartoon character that was going to be the most popular cartoon character of all time, make him rich and famous. And he created one. But his partners manipulated the contract and took it from him. And he went to California and said, how can I get it back? How can I get it back? How can I get it back? And he was trying to figure out how to get his cartoon character back. And then he said, I can't get it back. They stole it. But they didn't steal my ability to create. And that's when he sat down and he created Mickey Mouse. Because the original cartoon character that was stolen was Oswald the Rabbit.
The rabbit.
Did you ever hear of Oswald the Rabbit?
Yeah, Oswald the Rabbit,
like
no, not anymore.
You and 2 other people have heard of Oswald the Rabbit.
Yeah.
No one's heard of Oswald, but everyone's heard of Mickey Mouse. And
100%.
Disney said, even though they stole my invention, they didn't steal my ability to create. And if I created Oswald the Rabbit, I can create something else. And he created Mickey Mouse.
So since we agree that the empire's over, that the quality of living, what is the tactical things that you're doing? Are you looking at staying in the United States? Are you looking to go back to Switzerland? What is the game plan for you? Because I agree with you. We've kind of reached the point of no return with a lot of this. What happens next?
Yeah, and it's a very good question. My life that I create my life regardless of what external circumstances are. So I can live anywhere. There was a story back in the ancient times when cities were covered with walls. There was walls around them, and there were guards at the gates, especially at nighttime, because you didn't know who was going to come in. You didn't want bandits to come in and rape and pillage. So you had these walls, and you had a gate that you had to go through the guards to get in. And on this one particular night, a man walks up to the gate, and he says to the guard, I'd like to come into your city. Can you tell me about the people that live here? And the man said, well, tell me about the people that lived in the city that you came from. And he goes, they were horrible people. They were robbers and stealers, and they were just mean and nasty, and none of them were honest. It was terrible. That's why I had to leave. And the guard says, well, I'm very sorry to tell you, but you're going to find those same people here. And the man walked in. The next guy came up and he said, I'm here to go into your city. Can you tell me what type of people live here? And the guard says, well, what type of people lived in the city you came from? He goes, oh, they were wonderful people. They were happy. They were honest. They were hardworking. They were family oriented. It was a glorious place. But I decided to move to explore the rest of the world. And the guard said, well, good news. You're going to find those exact same type of people here.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to. You create the life you want. Wherever I go, I'm happy. I'm grateful and appreciative. It's not like, ooh, I don't like this place. They're negative people. They're bad people. I need to go there. No, I like wherever I live. You have some preferences. I like mountains as opposed to oceans. I like lakes and rivers. That's just my preference. And I do like the Swiss culture. I like the food there.
Very
And
much
I
so.
enjoy it. I enjoy the weather. So everybody has their own little thing, but I can live anywhere and works fine for me.
I love that this has turned into just pro Swiss, because I do that all the time in my private life. I just love Switzerland. I've been there 11 times. It's one of my favorite places on the planet.
Yeah,
So
I lived in Zurich and I really, really enjoyed it.
mine's more in Monterey, in Sion, by Geneva.
Yeah.
I love, again, I'm very similar to you. I love mountains. I love nature. It's heavenly, but I will get off track if I talk about Switzerland. All we'll do is talk about that for the next 6 hours. So we've gotten the health under control. We understand that the reality of where things are going and how our mindset matters. How are things going to be adapted? How do you hold people's hands and say, listen, this is AI, just as you said before, there were people who had horse and buggies and that happened to change. And then we went from, industrial revolution, things changed. And then I remember when the internet came out, people were like, oh, this isn't going to affect things. I'm like, no, this is going to change everything. And I think AI is even higher than those other things that happen. It's as important as a discovery as fire was. So when we go into these environments, how do you advise, the people that work with you and the people that come to you and say, okay, hey, this is where I am with my business. What are some of the tools that you sit down with them and say, okay, let's talk about this. Let's handle this. Let's face the reality. What are some of the stuff that you walk them through to help them pivot outside of the stuff we've already discussed?
Yeah, I use a different technique. It's not unique because it was something I was trained in back in the 70s, late 70s, when I was in an organization called the Brotherhood, and I was brought in with the higher level ranking members. And this is something that they did back then. Now, this is before computers and before phones, so you may think it's different, but it's really the same today. So I always tell people, let's just start from the beginning. If money wasn't an object, or let's come up with a real number, let's say $100 million. If you had $100 million cash in the bank, what would you do? And let's just start dreaming. So that's the first thing. Imagine your life and say, well, I don't really want a plane because I know all the hassles that go along with it. Stop, cancel. You've already put limitations on it right away. So why don't you say, I want a hassle-free plane. I don't know how that's going to happen. Forget the how. Just say, I want to have my own plane that I never have to worry about, that's always accessible to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 1 hour's notice. Don't figure out how that's going to happen. Just dream about what type of lifestyle you want, what things you want, what type of health you want, what type of relationship you want. How do you want to feel inside at peace with love and compassion for other people? Just dream. That's first. If you don't do that, nothing else really matters. You got to get your dream up. Then from there, the how will present itself because you become an open vessel. You're open to the ether, or the Akash in Sanskrit, the Akashic records, which is the Akash, the essence of the universe, or the universal consciousness or universal intelligence, whatever you want to call it, that you allow yourself to tap into. So when you dream, you allow the universe to pull things that are off your little tiny radar screen and create opportunity, and will present to you the how. And just be open. Most people aren't open. They try to figure out the how, and by doing so, they put this huge limit on what is potentially possible. And then they don't see this Bitcoin opportunity. They don't see when it first came out. They don't see this little thing called Tesla when it first came out. They didn't see this little business called Google or Amazon when it first came out. I bump into Jeff Bezos. What are you doing these days? I'm launching this book thing online. On who? On what? Well, it's on this internet thing. What's that all about? Oh, do you think that'll do well? Yeah. And I'm looking, this guy is a winner.
So how do you recognize those things? Because we have them all the time. And there's the few business mistakes. I've made a lot of them, but one of them was someone came to me when Bitcoin was like $20, and I was like, I am not investing in fake money. This makes no sense to me. And then it came back and it was 20 grand, and I was like, this still makes no sense to me. I just missed that crypto. I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't invest in things that don't make sense. So how do you recognize those things? How do you pivot away from that limiting belief? It's
an interesting question. Number one, you never get it wrong. So that's number one. You never get it wrong because you either win or you learn.
Right. Fair enough.
So you can never get it wrong. Most people are so concerned with making a bad decision. I'm not concerned about making a bad decision because there's never a bad decision. I always say I cannot make any bad decisions. I only make perfect decisions because I either win or learn. And I know it's perfect and I have no worry about it. There's always another opportunity. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. No, it's one opportunity in my lifetime. And there are going to be many, 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 many more. And if I take advantage of it, fine. And if I don't, because I'm not in a position to, or I don't see the opportunity, it's just not out of my realm of understanding, there'll be another one down the road. Matter of fact, there'll be 1,000 more down the road.
Down the road, yeah.
Yeah. So just relax. I think people are too uptight about missing. You know, this is it. No, it's not it. It's just one thing. Relax. If you're not in a financial position to invest or get involved, or if you don't see the potential, that's perfectly okay. You know, there's a lot of things that I looked at and said, I don't understand that. I don't see how that's going to be big. And all of a sudden it blew up into multi-billions of dollars. And I laughed. I goes, boy, that's
okay.
But I also know that there was a reason why I wasn't, the universe was kind of telling me, don't get in this. There was a reason why. And you can look back and maybe figure out the reason or maybe not. That's irrelevant. Most of the times you actually can. You say, boy, if I had done that, I would have missed this because I would have went down that road and then missed this. So you can kind of see how missing that or choosing not to do that was actually the best thing for you. So I would encourage people to just relax a little bit, dream big, allow the how to present itself, and trust your feelings. Trust that gut instinct. Trust the gut instinct and know that you can't get it wrong. Have confidence in your own ability to create. Look, when you go through a decision, first and foremost, number one, ask yourself, is this in alignment with who I am? Is this my mission and purpose? Is it in alignment with my mission and purpose? If it isn't, it's going to go sideways anyway. So you really should only be doing things that are in your mission and purpose. I had a friend of mine who said, I got this string of strip clubs. We're going to make a fortune. That's not in alignment with my business or purpose. But I said, you know something? You're going to make a lot of money. You are going to make a fortune. And he did. It just wasn't in alignment with who I am. Number two, ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? And you have to be really, 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 really honest with what is the worst case scenario. Okay, I put up 100,000 and I lose 100. No, the worst case scenario is you put up 100,000. Not only do you lose it, but you get sued because you were involved in promoting something that was not right. So if you really think of the worst case scenario, what is it? Even though it's unlikely or a low probability of happening, you have to ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? Then say, if this happened, can I handle it financially and emotionally?
Right, which are two very different questions.
That's correct. That's critical. And if you say, yes, I can, then go to step 3. And step 3 is, what's my upside? See, most people focus that, they think that's number 1.
Right.
It's the third one. Then say, what's the upside? Does it make any financial sense? Like, is there a big enough upside to do this? Then you can do a risk-reward ratio about downside, but only then. But you don't even get there if the worst case scenario you can't handle. Because when you start comparing worst case scenario with potential upside, you get delusional because you get greedy. Oh, there's a $10 million upside and there's only $1 million downside. I can make 10. Well, if I lose the million, I can handle it. No, you can't, because you're just thinking about the 10 because you're greedy. And you're not really thinking about, what if you lost the $1 million? You're putting a second mortgage on your house. What if you lost your house? But you're not even thinking about it because you're so greedy, thinking about how much money you can make. So that's why if you say the worst case scenario is I lose my house, can I handle that emotionally or financially? No, I have a wife and 2 kids. Then stop. This is not the right deal for you. Use some willpower and use some self-discipline to say no. There'll be another deal that is better and perfect and right. It'll be at a better time. I'm not worried about it. And then when that deal turns out to be a major home run for everybody who got in, be happy for them. Right. Don't be, oh, I missed out. No, be happy for them. Really, genuinely be happy that don't beat yourself up for not taking advantage of it.
You talked about something earlier, which was your purpose. How does one find their purpose? Because a lot of people go through their lives either hoping to find a purpose or accepting that they do not have a purpose. Where do you fall on that, and how do you find your purpose?
Yeah, purpose is different than mission, and it's different than dharma, which really means duty. So there's three separate things. So we'll combine mission and purpose. It's like if you're in alignment, actually perfect alignment is mission, purpose, and dharma or duty. It's all in alignment. And then you can never go wrong. You'll be the happiest guy in the world, and you'll be incredibly successful to whatever degree, but it won't even matter because you're going to be thinking this is the most wonderful life you've ever imagined experiencing. So how do you find that? And the answer is don't be afraid to try something and fail. That's really what it comes down to. If you're led a little bit, I'm just being pulled to try this out, you can never get it wrong. Okay, so I quit my job and took this new job. And then 2 months later, I get fired. Oh, I made a big mistake by quitting my other job. No, you didn't. It was exactly perfect. Relax. Because that means another door. See, a door has to close before another door opens, right? You have to have a fire, a forest fire, to go through an area before new growth can come up. You have to destroy a building and knock it down before you can build another one. So things have to be cleared out. There has to be a void in order for something new. And this also allows you to increase your level of trust in the universe and trust that everything's going to be fine. You can call it confidence in yourself.
Right.
So try things if you feel led. That's how you get on your purpose. I had a friend of mine in high school. He was a big beer drinker. I grew up in Boston, Irish kid. Loved to drink beer, loved to tell jokes, loved to socialize. And I said, what's your dream? What do you want to do? Oh, I'd love to have a bar and maybe like a little comedy place in the back. I says, man, listen, I support you. What can I do to help you make your dream come true? He goes, oh, that's just a dream. I'm going to law school. And I go, what? You never once talked about law. Well, my parents told me it's really what I should do. And I said, are they going to law school or are you going to law school? Well, they pointed out that, and I'm saying, do you really feel in alignment with that? Well, to make a long story short, he was miserable, thinking about the bar, finally quit law school because of his wife. She said, go for your dreams. And I'll tell you something. If anybody's married, the luckiest couple in the world are two people that support each other's dreams. If the husband supports the wife's dreams and goals, and if the wife supports the husband's dreams and goals and says, honey, I believe in you. I have confidence in you. You're my hero. You can do it. I know you can. Let's go for it. I'm behind you. That is the greatest relationship on the planet. Magic happens.
So where do you see the next magic happening in your life over the next 5-10 years?
Well, I'm launching, as I mentioned, this company called World's Best Nutritionals and Organics, which is going to produce the world's best nutritional supplements and the world's best organic products. Every organic product out there virtually is a scam with rare exception. You look at all the organic salad dressings, for example, you take 100 bottles, different companies, organic Italian salad dressing, and they have sunflower oil, organic canola oil, organic soybean oil, organic avocado oil. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm Italian. I lived in Italy. We use extra virgin olive oil. How come you don't put that in the salad dressing? And the answer is it's too expensive and the consumer is too stupid to know the difference. Okay, these are the companies you're buying from, but they have the word organic on it. So I'm producing the world's best stuff. That's going to be a multi-billion-dollar business. So that's going to be a big thing. And I think that's going to have a big impact on... When I came up with the book Natural Cures, Walmart did not sell organic food. And since my book was the #1 best-selling book Walmart ever had, it forced them to start selling organic food. It forced McDonald's to put organic salad dressing in their stores. So it made a big impact. And it was the precursor to the Make America Healthy Again movement with high fructose corn syrup being attacked by President Trump recently. And he said, hey, why is this in the Coca-Cola when it used to be cane sugar? And the answer is it's cheaper, it gets people physically addicted, and it makes them want to drink more Coke and get fatter so we can make more money. I mean, that's the reason why they put it in. Let's be honest. That's the only reason that they switched from cane sugar. So that this company is going to really educate people about organic products and nutritional supplements and virtually turn those. It's going to be the biggest disruptor in two industries, nutritional industry and organic product industry. And it's going to turn those two industries completely upside down.
If people want to turn their lives upside down and they want to have more access to what you're doing and how you're doing it, where do they track you down? How do people get a hold of you and connect with you?
I do have the Kevin Trudeau Show on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, but they can find everything at KevinTrudeau.com. KevinTrudeau.com, KevinTrudeau.com. Everything Kevin Trudeau is there. All information about what I got, it's all right there.
Perfect. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Great to be here. My pleasure.